I'm not afraid of you. No politics here. Just good old-fashioned revenge.
Fantastic film, guys. You did a stand-up job, so well done. In terms of Shane and Robert, you've obviously worked together because it's Bang Bang. Robert, from interviews I've seen before, you like to collaborate with the script and improvise and do stuff very with the directors. Did you find working, you're returning to Tony Stark again, did you find working with Shane reinvigorated, gave you new toys to play with, a whole new take on the character, making it fresh again? And lastly, would you direct a Marvel movie? Because you have...
You mean just eliminate the middleman? No, excellent question. Well, first of all, I had a really good time making this movie, and I don't often set out to imagine I'm going to just like have a fun time shooting, because you know these things, they're genre movies, but we take them pretty serious, you know. And then things get all stressy, and the one thing you shouldn't have said, Shane, is you don't care how much it costs, because you're going to get offered a bunch of movies, and you have to be mindful of budget. I'm going to strike that from your court minutes. In case you haven't noticed, Shane and I aren't talking right now. Success has driven us apart. But I'd like to hear from some of our other cast members, being between Shane and I, arguably several of the most self-obsessed and eccentric human beings on earth.
Rebecca, would you tell Mr. Downey that I agree with that?
He had.
I hate it when mum and dad fight.
Yeah. I want to follow up that question about whether you direct.
Yeah, I don't. You want me to?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so exhausting.
Avengers 3.
Okay. Question from a gentleman there.
Hello. Question for Gwyneth. Hi, I'm a massive fan of your work. I think you're fantastic as Pepper. I just wanted to ask, are Chris and Apple and Moses fans of the Iron Man series? What do they think of your performance, and are they excited for Iron Man 3?
We said no personal questions.
Oh,
Do you
well,
mind?
But if you want to...
that's okay. Thank you. And yes, we all saw it last night together with all of my kids' friends, and everybody loved it. And I, including myself, I was really surprised.
Shocked? You're such a snob.
No, I was surprised because normally, like when we were on set, I find it difficult to follow the plot of these on paper, and you know, who's getting shot up with what, and who's bad and who's good. It all gets very confusing, but the movie plays so well, and it was so much fun to watch, and I was really amazed by, you know, the job that Shane did, and I thought it was really good, and so did my family, so thanks.
Front row, gentleman with the...
Thank you. I'd just like to say that brilliant, thank you. I'd just like to say that I'm a big fan of the film, and I really sympathise with the character who had a man crush on Iron Man, because I have a similar situation. But my question goes out to any of you here, really. My question is, are there any stories, comics, or characters you'd like to see come into future Iron Man or Avengers movies, etc.?
Who would like to answer that one? Robert?
I like that you're looking at me.
Yeah, I did too.
Do the comics thing.
Come on, you know what you're doing.
Well, obviously I have no idea what's coming next. We do know that obviously Joss is doing Avengers 2, so he is a wonderful arbiter of taste, so he will dip into the canon brilliantly, I'm sure. And, you know, obviously this movie is a tribute to, like, you know, Warren Ellis and Matt Fraction and some of the brilliant modern day writers of the comics, which feels appropriate to give a shout out to, but who knows what comes next, or if there's a next.
Robert.
Well batted.
Very informative, Drew.
And that's cricket.
That's cricket.
Lady in the front row. Sorry, making you run with the microphone.
Hi, my name's Alison Jones. I was just wondering where the fondness for Downton Abbey came from. It's included in the script, and and shake things up in the set yet?
Where did the Downton Abbey thing come from?
That was all John.
I think it was Jon Favreau's idea.
Yeah, it's true.
Secret fan.
Yeah, I think A, he likes it, and B, he thought, what would be the strangest thing that Happy could be obsessed with watching? But he liked it because isn't the driver
Yeah.
in love with the gal? He thought the themes were concurrent.
Perfect. Gentleman on the side there with the microphone.
Question for Gwyneth. I'm sure this is heresy to half the room, but I wasn't a comic book fan growing up. So I don't know, was Pepper Potts such a sort of strong figure in the comics, or is that something that's developed over the films? And was it an appeal to you as a strong female character in a comic book movie?
You know, I had never even heard of Iron Man until Jon Favreau called me, and I didn't grow up, reading comics at all. But when the first Iron Man came about, I'd taken a few years off, and I was home having kids and stuff. There was no script, so I was really flying blind because I didn't know anything about the comics or the movie that we were going to do, and Robert and John talked me into doing it. And it's been a great journey playing Pepper. In every movie, I think she gets to have a real evolution, and I think Iron Man 3 is definitely her most fun and interesting of all the roles so far. So, I never would have thought of myself as being in a comic book superhero movie, and now I'm so happy that it's been my main job for the last 6 years. I've had such a good time.
Gentleman with the microphone over there.
Hello, I'm Paul from Italy. Question for Downey. We see Tony Stark experiencing anxiety in the movie. Now I want to ask you, at this time of your career, do you have anxiety if a contract is going to be over soon, or do you have anxiety as a free artist when some major studio wants to put you under contract for 17 months? Thank you.
Stop asking me questions. Making me anxious. Particularly not questions like that. Don? Don always calms me down.
Do they still do 17 picture?
They do at Marvel.
I'm gonna get one of those.
Okay, we've got one last question from the lady second row, second in, right there. Sorry. Oh, killed the computer.
Hi, question for Robert. Tony Stark has saved the world a lot now. And yet people, fellow billionaire entrepreneurs like Donald Trump, Richard Branson, don't seem concerned about supervillains. Do you think they should be? And how do you think those kind of guys would get on if they had to spend a day in their life as Iron Man?
It's a really random last question.
It's like performance art.
I'm pretty quick. I think I'm pretty witty. But I might be out of steam. Why don't you repeat the question after we leave? And after I've had dinner with him, maybe you'll come over for an aperitif. I wouldn't know how to answer that question, but all I know is we're doing something right. I'm really glad that audiences are responding to this movie. Being able to do this again with Dawn and Gwyneth is a great pleasure. But having Sir Ben having rocketed us into another dimension with arguably the most complicated arc in superhero history, and the over-talented Rebecca Hall showing up and doing us a big solid and classing the joint up has just made this a most delightful experience. And Drew and Shane listened to us all run our mouths for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then they said, "Thank you very much," went away, and came back with the script, which is the story we shot. And that's the reason we're sitting here, and that's the reason most of you aren't saying this film sucks. Don't ever waste our time again.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Round of applause for our cast and crew.
We do need backup.
That's your department.
Here's my boys.